Hey everybody, Raymundo here, bringing you a video about exchanging property and moving titles. Okay, this is really just how to get assets into the trust. All right, there's really just a few ways to do it. You can purchase things from the trust, but you probably already have stuff you own that you want to be put in the trust, and we're going to show you how to do that. Just to start off, to make sure it's clear, it's easy to think when you first come to trusts that you're going to be the grantor because you already have the stuff. The important part here is that a statutory trust and a private express trust are different because the parties to the trust are different. The one we're talking about here is amongst people. It's a common law trust. All right, the statutory legal trusts are with your person, and they're different things. You technically, and I'll show you in here, don't really own any of your stuff. You may have legal control over it, or you may sign for it, but you as a man or a woman do not own it. Creating the private trust creates an entity of men and women, people, and you can get property put into it. So let's just get going here. Okay, the first thing to really understand here, is persons. What a person is. Okay, you are not a person. I don't care what the government and anybody else says. I don't care if you've called yourself a person before or if you still inadvertently say you're a person. It's a character, it's when you're in the theater, when you're in the play, the other actors are going to treat you like that person. When you're outside of the play, you're just a regular individual. So, they've taken this persona, this character, and turned it into an entity, gave it a social security number, make you believe that it's you. However, it's not. And it's definitely just not another word for people. And if you understand that people are truly sovereign, then any government, even with consent, can't even speak to you, nor make rules or laws for you. And if foreigners or travelers come through a territorial government, they can interact with the government as persons because they do not inhabit that territory, a requirement of people. Therefore, all governments are forced to deal with persons. A person can be defined as how a man or woman shows up in society. Joe Bag of Donuts might be a lawyer, an officer, a voter, or a citizen. Joe is not equivalent to a lawyer, officer, voter, or citizen. He just uses that persona, that character, in the theater, in government, in commerce. And the relationships of people with their persons is narrated perfectly in the Fourth Amendment of the United States, which says the people have the right to be secure in their persons, be secure in your character, how you show up in government, homes, documents, and effects from unreasonable searches and seizures. All right, it's something you've probably seen before, and every time I read it, it becomes more and more important. But this is the comparison between people and persons, okay? You are inalienable. You have inalienable rights, okay? Nobody can tell you what to do. Now, while the government operates your person, they can do it however they want to do it. It's none of your business, as long as they don't take from you. That is, they don't come mess with you. They don't come search your stuff just because. So what does this all have to do with trusts, exchanges, and purchases? Well, because everything you own now in your name is really in your person's name, because they are the same. But the person is the one that owns it, and you've just signed for it. So, yes, you own nothing and you control nothing as a person. You just use it and pay for it. So it seems like you own it. All right. So as a living individual, the non-person, you're nothing but a servant to your person. Like I said, you're just the signer of it, and you just use it. All you really do is sign for it and handle the problems. And just like you sold stuff for your person before, you can sell stuff into your trust. And that's how you get your personal assets into the trust via an exchange or a bill of sale. So what you're going to do is sell whatever property it is, whatever titled property you have as a person, into the trust. And the things we're talking about mostly are things that are titled, okay? When you switch titles, when you buy something, you have to switch titles. It's no longer controlled by who it was. Now, if you control two entities, you can buy and sell between the entities, which is really just switching titles. And say this is now owned by this thing, this is now owned by this thing. Okay? So when we talk about bill of sales and moving stuff that can be titled is what we're focusing on. You know, your knickknacks and your clothes and whatnot, we can just lump those into, general items. They don't need a title. So if you control a thing, then you can do whatever you want with it. And the beneficial owner can't say anything about it. And so if you control two entities, switching between these two entities is a breeze. You just got to change the paperwork. So how does a bill of sale or exchange work? Well, the bill of sale is the number one thing. Okay, whenever you're buying something, or even if you're exchanging it between your trusts, a bill of sale, and you really are just bringing things to the table. You know, one individual is bringing the property, the trust is bringing something to exchange with that. We use silver outside of commerce because it has a value, and it's often been used for exchange. So your bill of sale, like a vehicle, is going to be a little bit of silver for the vehicle, for the thing. Recognizes a bill of sale, evidence that it's owned, and then after the fact, then the trust just has to change the title. Yes, it is really that simple. The bill of sale is evidence that the trust owns said property, and it was handled through a bona fide contract. Very important, and nobody can do. All right, this is a bill of sale. Okay, this is your main document, and this isn't set in stone. It can look lots of different ways. This is a template, but you'll just see there's a date. You just explain who the seller is, whatever. The buyer is the name of the trust. Or if you're selling something, the buyer is the other individual. And you just list it out. And as long as most people sign it, and everybody signs it, then it's a done deal. Blow this up a little bit. Just to show you. I mean, it's just, all these are available in the templates folder. There's just a gluttony of examples that you can use for different types of contracts or business. So, yeah, that's the bill of sale. That's what the actual paper would look like. So, anything about it. Nobody can interfere with the obligations of contracts. All right. Again, so a property exchange, it doesn't have to be silver. It can just be anything, right? It can be any entity. It doesn't even have to be another person. Okay, they can sell it. However, a bill of sale is a contract for the exchange of goods, a receipt, and evidence of ownership. And the contractual obligation ends when the goods are exchanged. So some contracts last a really long time. Some contracts last a moment. Just to recognize what was exchange back and forth. Okay. Actually, we're going to go back here real quick, and I am going to pause this and add an example of a bill of sale later. Okay? Remember that, Raimundo. All right. So, a contract. Okay. The exchanges, I'm going to add in some more stuff about contracts here. I've said in the other videos, the trust is a contract. Okay, so staying within contracts is your insulation. It's your protection. So what exactly is a contract? Well, it has to be mutually agreed to. I think that's kind of obvious, but it has to be signed by both parties. That shows that there was consent. That shows that there was mutual agreement. If you sign something and the other side doesn't sign it, what are they telling you? The contract should list the property or whatever is included, what's being exchanged, what's being created, what's being added, who owns what percentage, what the compensation will be. And the parties are informed and of sound mind, which is usually evidenced by the signature. But sometimes you get manipulated and bullied into signing something. And, if you sign something under duress, it's not valid. Now, is the contract legal? Great word. Legal is purely a commercial thing. So if you're in a commercial venue, you're in a commercial court, arguing about a legal contract, it's got to follow a lot of other rules. It's got to follow all the other statutes too. And if it doesn't follow the statutes, then, maybe they can mess with your contract. But a common law contract, contracts of people, it doesn't have to be legal. It doesn't have to follow any statute. It just has to be not do harm. As long as you're not hurting people, it doesn't matter. You can do it. There doesn't have to be an exchange of decent value. A contract you could get a house built for a peppercorn. Maybe not practical, but there doesn't have to be an equitable value like you usually see in the legal world. Okay, so knowing these are the principles of contracts, let's just ask yourself, is your driver's license a contract? Did anybody else sign it? No, it's a legal trick. A user agreement, when you open an account or buy something from a corporation and they want you to sign a user agreement. It's just a commercial trick. That user agreement does nothing but give them a reason to sue you afterwards. And that's it. It's not evidence that they gave you anything. It's not an evidence of a contract. They just want you to be suable if you use their stuff. What about a loan? Check out your loan documents. Sometimes the bank signs them. I have seen them actually where a bank signed it. But usually they don't. A processor might. A mortgage broker might. A title company might. But the one giving you the stuff, they don't sign it. All that money, they don't sign it. Okay, so contracts, different worlds, all right? They matter in different worlds, all right? Once we want to learn and focus on here is this private, common law, equitable contract, and that's just as straightforward as it can be. Contract between people, real property, and full consent. A contract could be breached if the third party finds out that somebody was lying and giving them faulty goods. If that can be proven, then there you go. And that's what would happen in a common law court. A legal contract. Well, that gets a little fuzzy. It can still be as bona fide as a common law contract and still call it a legal contract. But often legal contracts are in the world of civil law. And civil law is just establishing rules. And, for example, in the Colorado Revised Statutes, Title 5, Section 3, Paragraph 304, is a civil law that says you're in a bona fide contract if you use a credit card and it's mailed to you. That's a legal contract. There was no agreement. There was no coming to the mines. They're basically tricking you into being obligated to pay for it per statute. But in the common law world, in the equitable world, they didn't give you anything. So that's why they keep you out of the common law courts and they want you in these legal courts. And it says a legal contract is a written contract possibly among persons that adheres to applicable legal statutes. It may not be in writing. It doesn't have to be in writing like that statute I was talking about. May be created solely on statute triggering by an action. There's presumed contracts, and to be quite honest, that's pretty much the only reason they ever get you into court, is because they presume that you're in a contractual relationship, even though there's no paper. By simply performing and acting in a certain way, they can say, well, you don't know what you're doing, but you're taking all these actions, so therefore we're going to presume that you're this thing and there's a contractual relationship. Okay? When you go ask for Social Security, when you get a driver's license, and when you volunteer to pay taxes, you're telling them that you're the person. And that's how they react. There's an allonge or an attached contract, and that's just an added and often unknown contract because of another legal or presumed contract. Now, this is the only way I really see this thing is that they try to contract you as the person. And once you're a person, you're a slave, and they can just treat you and do whatever they want. They don't to kind of keep the shtick up, but that's how it works. Once you're like in the courts, if you've ever been to court, sometimes they talk about you like you're not there and what you can do, what you did, and you just got to take it. And all of that is because you just went into their arena. And once you're in their arena, you have the contract to do whatever they want. So we want to challenge those. We want to stand up against those. But like if you have a driver's license, if you vote, really, if you vote, then they're going to presume all kinds of stuff about you. If you vote, then you're a taxpayer too. No agreed contract, that's just how it is. Okay, the whole matrix, commerce, and civil government happen and function without genuine contracts. Without those contracts, you are seen as incompetent and need a daddy, as in Social Security. And you need others to decide for you. Others who are sophisticated in contracts, commerce, and deception. Now, there is nothing wrong, although possibly scary, in telling someone, a cop, a lawyer, whoever that, we don't have a contract. And it's the truth. When they ignore that, ask them, why do I have to do something without a contract? Where do you get your authority? Why do I have to do this? They'll probably implode or eventually try to tell you you're a person. And if they push hard enough on that, if they really try to force you to be a person, they are violating whatever oath they have. In Colorado, it is the Constitution of the state of Colorado, where the Fourth Amendment is almost verbatim in the Bill of Rights, Article 2, Section 7. Okay, well, there you go. Moving property is real easy, okay? You're just going to buy it and sell it unless you control both of them. And that's why some people might say you control your person. And some people might say you control the trust. And if you control both and you move property from a commercial thing into a private thing, you might be piercing the veil of protection. However, you do not control your person. You are not the trustee of it. You act like trustee a lot through the assumed contracts. But in reality, you're not the actual controller. The state of Colorado is. And so when you're selling something as your person, you're not doing it as a controller. But anyway, okay, well, that's how to move property, how to exchange stuff in and out. It's a really important part of being a trustee, especially when you're getting started. But once you get stuff moved in, you don't got to keep worrying about it. I mean, you got to know what to do, but it's not a constant thing. Next time you buy a vehicle, hopefully you buy it through the trust. And then you just got to get it titled, and you already have the bill of sale from them showing it. So, all right, thanks a lot. I think the next one is going to be about license plates. So check that one out too, and have a great day.